reports on Thunderbirds. I would love to get a report on Thunderbirds because I find that fascinating. But I did get a report on Chupacabra at San Miguel Island, and I did an investigation at San Miguel Island. And some guy named Captain Michael Hodges, he said he took his catamaran around that island, and he saw what he thought was a chupacabra. He said that this thing has spikes going down its back, and it's not the Texas chupacabra, but he saw the Puerto Rican chupacabra, that it has spikes going down its back, reddish eyes, large head, tiny wings, and leathery brown skin. And when he told me that, I said, wow, I got to see this for myself. So anyway, we had a FLIR, forward-looking infrared camera, and the only thing that we picked up on was a fox. So his chupacabra maybe possibly was a fox. I don't know. But he claimed up and down that he saw chupacabra out there. But the closest I ever came to a cryptid was the incident with the Bigfoot thing with the wood on wood and the 3 rocks thrown into the creek. To this day, I still haven't seen any cryptids. I've seen a UFO. I actually seen 4 full-body apparitions. But I'm in still pursuit of cryptids because I find it fascinating, and I do think that they're seeing something, but what they're seeing, I don't know.
You know, another thing, we've got a lot of reports from a lot of guests with sightings of Bigfoot is what coincides with it sometimes is little people or gnome-type people. Have you had these same type of reports?
Yeah, I do get some of those type of reports. I did get a really unusual report, Sedona, Arizona, which is a very mystical place. And this guy named Rudy said he got hit by all types of quills, like a porcupine. And that this thing was like from the movie The Predator, that he could see through it, but it was a humanoid, and it had quills on it. And he referred to it as a porcupine man, a Sedona. And I thought that was a very unusual story. He sent me pictures where he had little marks on his body from these quills. So, and I get these reports, and I'm a little bit skeptical about it. And it's like, well, did he get hit by a real porcupine? Or did he really see a humanoid that looked like a porcupine that was bipedal? So I don't know. I get so many strange reports.
And also, at least I've come across a lot of things where the people witness a type of a cloaking ability with some of these Bigfoots. Have you ever come across that also in some of your research?
Oh yes. I hear reports about that they do have a cloaking ability. They're able to be in one place and then in another place in just a second. So. That's why I really think they're interdimensional. I think they have the ability to change from a matter-type being into an energy being. And that's why you can't kill them, because bullets either going through them or they bust up into sparks, like that one hunter said that he shot at one and it turned into a multitude of sparks. So, yeah, I really, truly do believe that they're interdimensional. And there's so many people who have sightings of Bigfoot, and a lot of them are very credible witnesses. You have some police officers that have seen Bigfoot. I actually talked to some hunters right here in California who claim up and down they've seen Bigfoot, and they look like when they tell their story, they're very consistent. They don't get off track with the story. It sounds very believable, and I actually believe that they're seeing something out there.
Now, I gotta.
Yeah, well, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I was going to ask. A lot of times when people cite Bigfoot, they see portals in the same area.
It's funny that you would say that, Gary, because at Skinwalker Ranch, when that ranch was purchased by these scientists who are contracted with the government, one of those scientists said that he witnessed a portal open up at Skinwalker Ranch. And from that portal came out a Bigfoot, and it ran off into the woods. And I investigated Skinwalker Ranch, the area of Skinwalker Ranch. I wasn't actually at the ranch, but I was in the area, and the whole area is mystical. So, the reports that they have, the Gorman family lived at that ranch, and the father and son saw a wolf chewing on one of their calves. And they shot at that wolf, and it was a bulletproof wolf. The bullets were bouncing off the wolf, and the wolf merely just walked away. Another sighting at the Skinwalker Ranch, the family that was living there at the time saw an RV going up the road. And as they were watching that RV, it morphed into a UFO and flew away. They have poltergeist activity there. They see ghosts over there. And when I investigated the valley in which the Skinwalker Ranch was at, it was storming that night. I mean, it was a heavy, heavy storm. And I saw what I thought was ball lightning. There was a lot of lightning, and then this ball of energy dropped from the sky and hit the ground and just broke up into all kinds of sparks. So I think I actually witnessed what is called ball lightning, which is a very natural phenomenon, but it's rare. And that's the only way I could describe it. So there's a lot of stuff, because here in Sacramento, when we have storms, I never see ball lightning, but I saw ball lightning in that valley.
Interesting. How many reports do you get a month on cryptids, Paul?
Oh, I would say perhaps I get a lot of ghost reports. Okay, I maybe get about 3 or 4 ghost reports a week. UFO reports, I get about maybe 2 out of 2 weeks. Cryptids, I get maybe 3 out of 3 weeks. So not that many, and then some of the stories I kind of disregard, because the story is not consistent. I get a lot of prank calls. So I get a lot of prank calls, and when I figure it's just a prank call, then I basically just kind of discontinue the phone call.
Yeah, there is people out there also, besides prank calls, there's people who want the, 5 minutes of fame out there. So they'll come up with all kinds of, stories that are not true.
Right. If the story really sounds believable, I mean, you can even hear it in their voice, where they're like that Renee guy in San Francisco when he was talking about the Shanko Warwick of Whitefish, Montana. I mean, you can hear his voice. It started breaking up. It was shaky, and you can tell he was really scared. So what he was describing, I mean, it sounded like a very believable story, and I believe him. I believe he definitely saw something.
Now, how about werewolves? You ever get much on werewolves reported?
Well, I actually interviewed two ladies who claimed they were a werewolf, and another lady who claimed she was a werewolf. In fact, I wrote an article about it, and it was called a werewolf in Vallejo. So anyway, I met her in Starbucks. I walked right up to her, and she goes, "Wow, how did you know it was me?" Because I never met her in my life. Well, it was kind of obvious because she was wearing wolf ears attached to her head. She was wearing a big old T-shirt saying something, "I'm a meat lover," or something like that. And she actually had facial hair. And she actually claimed she was a werewolf, that she has this huge appetite for raw meat. She couldn't keep a boyfriend because she would bite on him. She had hair everywhere. And, yeah, she had, like, one of the strangest stories ever. And she, in her mind, she actually believed she was a werewolf.
You know, there's people like that the same way. On my show, I interviewed a guy who claimed he was a vampire, and he went a couple years where people would come over to his apartment. He wouldn't even go out of his apartment because he said he would get like sunburn instantly. He was real pale and white. I actually did talk to his medical doctor. This guy has lived on human blood for like 4 years or so at that point. People would come over and, feed him. He would drink their blood. And it's just kind of alarming. There is people out there that actually believe, that they are, these cryptids or these things. So, the lady who, maybe she believes she is a werewolf.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then I also, too, interviewed some vampires, some supposedly real vampires in San Francisco. And this one guy who was a vampire, he was dressed all in black and everything else. And he actually had the dentist actually put real fangs in his mouth. And he claims that he has 3 people that he drinks blood from. And he'll take a teaspoon of blood from each one of them. So he says that's how he survives. And, I have to tell you, we've all heard of Slender Man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, one call I got from a lady named Lucy, she claims that she saw Slender Man, and that Slender Man talks to her all the time and tells her to hurt people. And she says that she's also too bipolar. She takes medicine, blah, blah, blah. And she said that the Slender Man that she saw, that he was faceless, he was tall, he's slender, he has slender hands and fingers, he wears a suit, and he has tentacles that protrude from his backside. She actually says that she's encountered this creature, and he torments her almost every night. And he has taken his fingernails and raked them on her body, leaving horrendous cuts. And she actually sent me some photographs showing me these cuts on her body and around her stomach area. And she has nightmares and visions of hurting random people. So I suggested to Lucy that she probably needs to consult a professional doctor and inform him of her thoughts, so like a psychologist or something like that, because who knows, maybe someday she will hurt somebody.
Yeah.
But I
setting
think
up.
also, too, she maybe manifested a tulpa. She believed in Slender Man so much that it manifested